everybody, and happy Sunday. It is time for my Sunday screening selection, where I talk about movies and TV shows and series and anything on the screen. On Friday, during my Friday Read Selection series, I talked about this book right here, 11/22/63 by Stephen King. So today, I thought it only fitting that we talked about the HULU series. It's a mini-series. I believe it was 8 episodes. I binge watched it in 2 days after I finished this book. I actually shut the book, put it down, turned on Hulu, and started watching. That's how much I loved the book. The book is by Stephen King. He is also one of the executive producers on the HULU series, the mini-series. The creator was Bridget Carpenter. Of course, it is based on the novel by Stephen King, and it starred James Franco as Jake Epping, the lead character in the series. It also starred Sarah Gadon. She plays Sadie. George McKay playing Bill Turcotte, and Chris Cooper as Al Templeton, and then Daniel Weber as Lee Harvey Oswald. So those are your lead characters, your main characters throughout the mini-series. I gave this book a 5-star rating. Stephen King knocked it out of the park. It was phenomenal. The mini-series did not get quite that good of a review. I gave it a 3.333 rating, and I rated it on story, writing, and acting. You would think the mini-series being based on the book would have the same story rating because it's the same story, right? No, wrong. I mean, sure, it's the same general idea. It's the same concept. Jake Epping goes through a time portal that his friend Al, who owns a diner, shows him in his pantry or closet or whatever. And he goes back to change history, to stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Okay, the basic concept of the story was the same. However, they changed a whole lot of the context of how they get from plot, like basic story idea, to actual on screen. So no, I did not enjoy it. I gave the story a 3-star. I gave the writing a 3-star. I gave the acting a 4-star. That's why it was a little over a 3-star rating overall. All right, the storyline as per IMDb. A teacher discovers a time portal that leads to October 21st, 1960, and goes on a quest to try and prevent the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which is complicated by the presence of Lee Harvey Oswald and the fact that his falling in love with the past itself. He's falling in love with the past himself, meeting Jake Epping. Okay, so the miniseries goes back to 1960, whereas the book goes back to 1958. So we do lose some of the history that the book includes, and I get it. It's 850 pages, 849 pages. There's a whole lot in this book. But to me, that means if they're not going to turn it into a movie where I completely understand you have to cut an 850-page book down to an hour and a half or 2 hours, you got to cut stuff. You just have to. But when you're turning an 849-page book into an 8-episode miniseries, you really shouldn't have to cut too much or change too much to make that work. And so they cut 58 and 59 out of the history, out of the flashback going into the past. So that's 2 years, which means he had to speed up his process going from getting to the past to the assassination, which does take stuff out of the storyline. I'm sorry, there's just a lot that happened in that time period that had to come out of the book, which was disappointing. I was so excited when I finished the book, so excited that I immediately went to Hulu to find the series, and my hope was to watch the story that Stephen King had written. I was hoping to watch Stephen King's story basically just come alive on screen. I wanted to watch Jake Epping discover the rabbit hole and see how he would handle Harry Dunning's murderous father. I wanted to watch him plot and plan out how he would save the president. And I wanted to watch as his relationship with Sadie turned into more than just a friendship, but turned from friendship to love. HULU did not give me that. No, I did not get that from the miniseries. If I had wanted to watch a cut-up version, if I knew it was going to be a cut-up version, I wouldn't have wanted to watch it. But if I had watched the HULU miniseries prior to reading the book, okay, maybe I would have liked it. I probably would have enjoyed it at least a little bit more than I did after reading the book and then trying to watch it. However, knowing the characters so well, having just finished it right before I watched the series, I felt like I knew the story and the plot and all of the little twists and turns so well that I was really disappointed in the miniseries. Now, although I think that James Franco is a fine actor, I have seen things that I thought he was really good in, and I've seen things that I thought, I could have done without. I don't feel like he was the right actor to play Jake Epping. He's just not strong enough, in my opinion, to play that role, and he doesn't feel like the part. He doesn't look like the part, and maybe that's just me, but in reading the book, I don't picture anybody like James Franco. Now, Chris Cooper was wonderful as L. Templeton. I thought that he did a phenomenal job, although in the miniseries, he's there a whole lot more than he is in the book. In the book, he's there in the beginning. He encourages Jake. He tries to convince him to go down the rabbit hole and take up the sword for him and try to stop the assassination, but then he's gone. He dies, and he's gone. And I just gave a spoiler alert. Sorry, spoiler alert! I just gave something away, but he dies, and he's gone. In the miniseries, yes, the same thing happens, but then he keeps popping back up in flashbacks or memories, and instead of getting all of his story out in the beginning like you do in the book, you get his story with these little spurts throughout. Well, Jake is having flashbacks or memories, and what it does is, in the book, you get excited because Al is trying to convince him to do something, to go down the rabbit hole. And he does. He convinces him. And as a reader, he convinces you that this is a good idea. But in the miniseries, it's too quick. It happens too quick, and he decides to go too quick. And we don't get to know why. We don't believe that he would have gone because we didn't get to see Al convince him until these little spurts of memory throughout the show. And for me, that wasn't good enough because he went too easily in the beginning. So I didn't believe why he went or that he would have gone. And then these little spurts of Al throughout didn't convince me. They needed to be at the beginning like they were in the book. So that was a little disappointing. Now, Sarah Gadon, I think is how you say her last name. She plays Sadie. I thought she was great. She was beautiful. She fit the bill. It was perfect. I mean, there just wasn't much to it, but I thought that she did a really good job in the miniseries. Now, there are so many different deviations from the book to the miniseries, changes that were made when the miniseries was developed that I just don't think needed to be made. And why, with 8 episodes, why they felt they needed to change so much. And some of the minor ones, okay, some of the minor ones that just kind of irked me are these. The book, like so many Stephen King books, connects to other Stephen King books. You got to meet a couple of the characters from the book It, and it references the murders that are going on in Derry. And of course, if you've read It, you know those are the Pennywise murders. And we got to meet Beverly Marsh and Richie Tozier, So we get to meet them. Epping gets to meet them. He actually gets to dance with them. And it is a really great little scene. And for Stephen King lovers, it is awesome. They left that out of the miniseries, and that was really disappointing. I know it's something so small, but it literally would have taken him, maybe taken 10 minutes of the episode, if that. So I really wish they would have left that in. I don't understand why they didn't. The next one is, in the book, we get to see Epping learn about how his actions in the past affect the present. We do this the first time when he goes back in the past and he tries to avenge Harry Dunning's father, tries to stop him from killing his family. And when he returns to the present, we find out that Harry, who was alive in 2011, he's the one that wrote the story, well, he is now dead. He'd saved his life in the past and the lives of his family members, but then he died because he went off to war. So whether or not that was a good effect or a bad effect, do we really know? But he sees that yes, his actions in the past do affect what happens in the future. Why the producers decided to take that out of the book, I don't understand. Or out of the series, I don't understand. It was great in the book because it did allow us as a reader to say, okay, there are effects, there are common effects. The butterfly effect happens and it does change history, and they took that out, so I don't understand why. The next one is the relationship between Al Templeton and Jake Epping. It is beautifully written in the book. We also get a better feel of why Al chooses Jake to share his secret with, to go down that rabbit hole, to try to change history. We get a better idea of why Jake says, yes, he'll go. And we don't get that in the miniseries. Okay, there is virtually no character development for the students at the school that Jake teaches at when he goes into the past. And we don't get to know about Bobby Jill or Mike Kozlow, and we don't get to watch them grow as people. And where the book allows these smaller characters to really shine, the series just, whatever, non-existent, leave them alone. So those were just a few of the ways that, the little differences that just kind of irked me, but then there are some bigger things. In the series, Bill Turcotte, played by George McKay, was a huge part of the story. He became basically Epping's sidekick, his brother from another mother. They were friends and they lived together and they supported each other, and his, what? Really? What? Why? Why did he have to do this? Epping in the book was left to carry all of the responsibility and the weight of going back in time and changing history. He was left to carry that on his shoulders on his own. He didn't run around telling people, I'm from the future and I'm trying to stop the assassination of the president. And yeah, I just, I didn't like it. I did not like it. I did not like it. I did not want, and as soon as Bill came along on that journey, I wanted to turn the TV off and not watch anymore, but I decided, you know what, I'm gonna finish it, and I'm gonna see if they can maybe turn this into something good. I was very disappointed. All right, the next thing, along with Bill, same character. He was great in the book, but he was like this big. In this show, he was huge. He was a big role. And they made him fall in love with Lee Harvey Oswald's wife. Why? That relationship doesn't exist in the book. Why put it in? It was unnecessary. There is an unconventional, at least for 1960s, interracial relationship within the story, and it is beautifully written. And it is between Deke and Mimi. And it is so pretty, it is beautiful, it's gorgeous, and you get to see all these little intricacies of their relationship. And in the book, it's beautiful. In the series, it's non-existent. Just one day, she admits that they're in love, and you're like, what? You haven't even looked at each other in the series. And then one day, she's just gone. And that's my next thing. she's just gone one day, and they talk about how they had a funeral, but you never get to see it. In the book, you get to see it all. You get to experience it. You're sad. You're devastated when she dies. In the series, you're like, oh wait, which character was that? Who was that? Do I care? Do I? Really? No. All right, I didn't list everything. Those are just a few of the things that really bugged me. I don't have time to list them all. I mean, there were so many things in the miniseries that just did not gel with the book, and that it was so frustrating to me. It was very painful and very hard to watch. But I wanted to prove a point by pointing out a few of them. If you love the book, comment below, tell me what you thought of the book. If you loved the miniseries, comment below, tell me what you thought. If you saw both, tell me what you thought, and tell me what was the most irksome thing that was changed from the book to the miniseries. Tell me what that was. All right, miniseries disappointed me. I'm so sorry, and I hate to say that about something by Stephen King, but it did. The book, phenomenal. So if you want to get a copy of the book, make sure you do. Okay, that is it for my Sunday screening. Go ahead and click subscribe right here. Check out my latest videos over here, and if you want to be alerted as soon as I post a video, click on that little bell below. All right, everybody, until next time, happy reading.